In the meantime, let's talk about magic mushrooms. You'll hear me say the word psilocybin a lot during this segment, and that's the hallucinogenic found in certain mushrooms that make them magic. Another way to say that is it's the thing that causes you to potentially see or hear things that aren't exactly there. When it comes to psilocybin in Oregon, you could call us trailblazers or guinea pigs, or maybe both. The Beaver State has the nation's first regulatory framework for legal psilocybin services. That's thanks to Measure 109, passed by voters in 2020 with 55% of the vote. It's worth noting that back in November, voters in 25 of Oregon's 36 counties voted to ban these legal psilocybin services. They said, not here. Several cities also followed suit. But here in Multnomah County, it does have the green light. Here are the possible benefits of psilocybin, according to the Oregon Health Authority. They say that research suggests the compound may help with depression, anxiety, trauma, and addiction. They go on to say that studies have found that magic mushrooms can increase spiritual well-being. Oregon's psilocybin law allows anyone 21 or older to participate. You would not need a prescription or a medical referral. There won't be magic mushroom dispensaries all over the place like there are now for cannabis. You will only be allowed to take mushrooms inside a licensed service center. Those mushrooms have to be grown in a licensed facility, and when you take them, you'll be under the watch of a licensed facilitator. And oh yeah, in the middle of that whole process, there's a licensed lab that will test the mushrooms for potency and dosing purposes. Did you hear a theme in that? License, license, license. Well, the process marked a milestone this week as the state handed out its first psilocybin manufacturing license. Here's the woman who got it. Tori Amberst is the sole employee of her business, Satori Farms PDX, based here in Multnomah County.
I have been in the mushroom cultivation education industry for maybe about 5-6 years. I just have this weird affinity for growing mushrooms, and I always have. Finding out later in my life that it actually is a part of my heritage, and that I had Lithuanian grandparents that used to forage in Lithuania, and it's actually really run in our family. So for me, it's just kind of this inexplicable affinity towards mushrooms that I haven't been able to deny. And so now the process of bringing medicine to the Oregon residents is happening, and that's really, really exciting.
Sounds cool. There are thousands of different kinds of mushrooms. Some are poisonous, some are great on pizza, others contain psilocybin. The list goes on. But there's just one family of magic mushrooms that the state is allowing manufacturers to grow for the psilocybin program.
So the mushrooms they're going to be allowing through the state is going to be psilocybin cubensis, and so that's kind of the most researched mushroom they have out there. Psilocybin cubensis has a ton of different varieties, kind of like cannabis, so that's going to be 30 to 40 different strains that will be allowed to grow, but all within the cubensis family.
As you might imagine, with such a stringent licensing process, it wasn't all that fast, and it's certainly not cheap.
So the process was kind of chaotic as it can be with government processes. So you were required to actually have the space in a lease secured before you were even able to apply for the license. So about 2 days before the licenses opened up, I secured a commercial space in a county that allowed the use. You also had to have the landlord approve of the use, knowing what it is that we're going to be doing there. And then after that came all the paperwork and the money that is associated with getting your license, which is a large amount of money and resources. $10,000 for the manufacturing license, which is due annually. So I have basically put everything into this.
It looks like all the expenses connected to getting one of these businesses up and running will make the product expensive as well for customers. Some estimates we've seen range between $600 per session to several $1,000s. The state simply says the licensees, those are the businesses, they're going to be the ones who determine the cost. It'll be interesting to see where those prices land, since this is the first regulatory framework for psilocybin anywhere in the country. They don't have nearby markets to look at or even compete with.
Nobody knows about pricing. Nobody knows about supply and demand. So I think we're gonna really run into kind of just trying to figure out if the pricing is just gonna eliminate everybody from this. Because I know the people that really need it don't have an extra $5,000, $7,000 laying around.
Well, if you're wondering when you may be able to go try magic mushrooms, That's also still up in the air. Many hope that some service centers are up and running later this year, but everyone needs to get through the licensing process first. So far, the Oregon Health Authority has not licensed any labs, any service centers, or any facilitators, though the rollout for those is expected to start in the coming weeks. Students began to graduate from psilocybin facilitator programs earlier this month, ahead of getting their licenses. If you're interested in learning more, head to oregon.gov/psilocybin. But in the meantime, let us know what you think. What do you think of this whole program? Do you think you're going to try the magic mushrooms? If you can afford it, do you worry about affording it? Or are you sitting at home thinking to yourself, absolutely not, are you kidding me? Let us know. Either way, send us an email, will you? The address is thestory@kgw.com, or call and leave a voicemail. Our number is 503-226-5090.